Yo guys, welcome to the last lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it.
First race of the season, disappointed. Where were your expectations relative to what we thought was going to happen?
I think average. I don't think I'm disappointed, but I don't think I was really that excited after that race. Obviously, I'm glad that F1's back. I'm very happy about that, but I think, there's just a bit of a lack of a fight at the up at the front. Red Bull done an incredible job. They've, improved on their car to make it unstoppable at the moment. Max Verstappen in that car as well, so far ahead of the field. So cracking job for them. But unfortunately, from a viewer's perspective, it's a little bit made the race a little bit worse. And I just don't think there was as much overtaking. They changed the DRS zone coming into this race, reducing it, and I feel like it made less overtakes in the race because of that, unfortunately. So I think a 5, a mid-race.
Yeah, it was all right. I think, the lack of sort of action at the front almost in terms of like a fight for a win, for example. I mean, Verstappen literally checked out after like two laps. He was 4 seconds clear, 3 laps in. There were some decent battles through the field here and there. Obviously, Leclerc's retirement as well had a little bit of spice. Fernando Alonso kind of injected some spice all on his own, really, into the top 6. Probably like a 5 out of 10, I reckon.
Well, that's
overall.
You wind back to the start, and Fernando lost position. Charles got ahead of Checo.
A very different race, by the way. If Stroll had actually collected Fernando Alonso, make contact.
That's should we talk about that first? Actually, what?
Don't try and mud my boy, right?
Yeah. No.
Drag him in the mud straight away.
I see what he's doing.
No. Let's just talk about Aston Martin collectively, right? Because there was a lot of hype going into this race. A lot of expectation. Fernando did get on the podium in the end, obviously benefiting from Charles Leclerc breaking down. But all in all, Dan, I think they can be, your old mate Dan Fallows, ex-Red Bull, can be pretty happy with the job he's done so far, right?
Yep, he's laughing with all of his tracings he did and notes he took. But no, it's good to have Aston, a team outside of the regulars, have genuine pace and sort of up there. It's probably the most exciting part about this race was seeing a team that you're not usually used to seeing up there. So I mean, the hype train, as much as I was the conductor of it, realistically, I don't think they were ever going to steal the win out of it. But
it's more of a hype DLR.
Yeah, hear that. Okay, yeah.
Hear that.
Tram. The hype tram.
Hype tram.
Hype tram. Yeah.
But, they are quick enough to be a thorn in the side of Ferrari and Mercedes, I think.
Well, in terms of a race car, I mean, Fernando passed Lewis, on pace, and Sainz, obviously struggling with tyre management as well.
It's good on his tyres.
Yeah, I mean, currently sat P2 in the Constructors. Lance picking up big points as well, P6 as well, which I think deserves, not joking around, he genuinely deserves a lot of credit for that. P6 with the injuries he had to be as close as because he wasn't a mile off Fernando as well. You got to remember that as well. I think your boy pulled through Haydon.
Half a second off throughout the whole weekend in terms of practice sessions, qualifying. So I think a solid result, looking back at where he was 2 weeks ago in surgery with no arms, basically.
Reattached the arms.
Yeah, I mean, a good result. And then in the race as well, he beat one of the Mercedes. Was catching up to Hamilton at the end, but I don't think it was ever going to be on the cards to get the overtake. Really. Yeah, maybe if Sainz and Hamilton actually had a bit of a battle, maybe, but it didn't happen at the end of the day. And Aston Martin, they've built an incredible car and are a team, because we saw it last season where the likes of Alfa Romeo, Haas were getting in that kind of mix because Mercedes dropped the ball when they were a little bit off pace. But Aston Martin, looking at last year, I believe that they can go on and improve from here, whereas unfortunately for Alfa Romeo and Haas, as the season went on, the results were just kind of tailing off.
Well, that's the thing, because can Aston Martin keep up this momentum? It's all well and good starting the season well. I'm not being funny, a Haas finished P5 last season, and then they would, it wasn't necessarily... Yeah, you can have good pace at the start of the year, but can you carry that on? But, you made this point during the stream, they've still not had their big, massive new facility yet. They've still got all that to come. So for them to already be punching, I don't think many Aston Martin fans in their wildest dreams could have expected them to be this quickly, I would say, as well.
Yeah, but I think there's absolutely no reason why they can't build on it and continue. They've got the money, obviously. They've got the resources and that. Yeah, why not? They got the advantage of extra wind tunnel time over the people they're fighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they were 7th in the constructors last year, so that's 100% of the allocation.
Yeah.
So there's more developments to come. Like, I'm not being
And
funny
the thing
there.
is as well, like last season, the development was actually very solid. Like if you look at where Aston were at the start of the year, you know, that car was a bathtub. I'll be totally honest with you. But by the end of the season, we get to Austin and, you know, on pace, the first half of that Grand Prix, they were sort of, I think they were sitting 5th and 6th in the race. Obviously with the incident with Sainz and Russell and whatever, but like genuinely they were best of the rest in America.
Yeah, and it's also worth pointing out as well, Aston Martin's biggest upgrade last year was to the photocopier. So they could get the Red Bull side pods and whatnot. So,
Well, it's funny because last year when all the green Red Bull stuff was coming out and the new side pods, and kind of everyone like had a laugh and a joke, but then in the race, I think they were like nowhere. But obviously now you're like, oh, okay. Well, clearly because they've hired, it's not just, I think they signed Luca Fabato from Alfa Romeo. They've signed a bunch of Mercedes staff as well. It's been part of a broader like scheme to make this team at least a team which I think the best thing I got from this is that, yeah, and whether Mercedes are going to be able to challenge it, we'll talk about that in a bit, I'm sure, but like it feels like it's made that top 3, a top 4 potentially, which I think is the most exciting prospect to come of it, because you've got 4 cars that can potentially, during these 23 races, you know, Bahrain's it's a very unique track, very high degradation. You know, Ferrari might do better on lower deg tracks, you'd think.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can have 4 different teams that can on merit fight for a race win, then
yeah, we joked that last year Aston copied the homework but didn't understand the assignment, whereas now it's like they actually understand the assignment as well.
Yeah,
so
like it clicked. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just copy a car and understand it and be quick, you know. But now it seems everything's falling into place.
it's looking good. Are you happy, Hayden, as a
very
Lance
happy.
Stroll
I'm
fan?
very-
Where are your expectations?
My expectations are, my hopes and my dreams are a lot higher than my expectations. They're through the roof. They're Lance Stroll. You know, if we saw in that video that he did, you know, Lance Stroll, world champion, 2023. Could happen? No, it's not going to happen.
Do it in his
But
accent, 2023.
in my head, in my dream, it will. 2023, 2024. Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to this time in the wind tunnel as well, because like you said, they're going to have 100%. Red Bull have got that penalty. So by the end of the season, that's when we're going to see the catching up of the teams who have more time in the wind tunnel start to actually take place. So, you know, I think Aston Martin can generally get in that fight for maybe even second place, depending on whether Ferrari, you know, drop the ball continuously. Because on pace today, at the end of the race, Alonso would have been right on the back of Leclerc, I think, had Leclerc not DNF'd. So he was in that fight. And Lance Stroll, when he is back to 100%, it's not going to be on Alonso's level, but I think that he can be, you know, a little bit off him, but still be able to back him up and be in that fight as well, and potentially even take it to the Ferraris.
Yeah.
Or if Aston Martin can do what Mercedes did last year by like not being as quick as Ferrari necessarily, but always being reliable, always finishing the races, and
Benefiting when other people drop the ball.
yeah, and that's the thing. If they want to mount it's one race, but you could definitely see a constructors P2 come in if they can be consistent. Do I think they're going to be as quick as Ferrari on like 1 lap pace and all that? Not necessarily, but you don't win points on the Saturday, do you? At the end of the day. So I think there's room to grow, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, same. It was also very close, I think, between a lot of the top order in qualifying.
Yeah, it was.
So
it was.
It's not even like
It
it's
was.
like they were like 6/10 off the Ferraris, but they're just like the best of the rest. Like there is genuine pace there, like, to actually match Ferrari too. So.
Yeah, Alonso and the 2 Mercs were both 6/10 off of Verstappen, I believe.
Verstappen.
So
yeah. What were the Ferraris? Were they
Ferraris were
three or
like
four?
3-4 attempts down. So yeah, they're close in that fight.